mature, if you have your pet dog in the park and it sees a cat, it may well run after it. But taking a dog into the scrub and asking it to pick up very faint traces of odor and work very hard to follow that trail to the live cat, that's a different proposition. So that's where the training comes into it.
You had to make these dogs obsessed with cats.
That's basically true. You make them obsessed with cats. So from a very young age, you make the scent of cat and finding cat the most exciting thing in their lives so that they live to find cats. I mean, you can't work dogs until they're mature. But from the age of, a few months, 3 months old perhaps, we'd start encouraging that obsession with cat scent. But then we wouldn't deploy the dogs fully until they were about a year old, I guess.
Which breed of dog have you chosen for this job?
We have two breeds of dog. One's a Springer Spaniel, so they're all heart and energy and very little brains. And then we also use Catahoula hounds, sourced from a breeder in Darwin, by the way. And they're extremely intelligent, perhaps a bit less enthusiastic than the Springer Spaniels, but you put those two characters together and they make a pretty dynamic duo.
How does it work now? Explain a day out with the dogs looking for cats.
We might go spotlighting, for example, and as soon as we see eye shine from the back of the ute, we'll send the dogs out. So the dogs find the trail, the track of the cat, and then they follow it at speed. And normally, if you or I were chasing the cat would be able to evade us easily. But because the dogs are using their noses, they stay on the trail of the cat. The cat feels pressured, and so then the cat runs up a tree. Once the cat's up a tree, we then sedate it with a trank gun, and we catch it in a little trampoline as it falls off the tree. And then once we have it in our hands, we've been fitting a whole range of different radio telemetry devices on collars to the cats, because we really needed to find out as much about their movements and their hunting preferences and hunting behavior as we could if we were going to design management programs to reduce the impact of feral cats on native wildlife.
Why not just take the cat out completely at that point, euthanize it? You know that it's having a negative impact on the environment and, that's been known, really for a long time. Why not just get rid of it?
Two things. I think the scale of their impact is actually it's coming to light very recently. So the cats are now being blamed for the majority of mammal extinctions in Australia, and that's quite a recent piece of evidence. But the reason we don't just take them out is we actually tried that. So we've tried in an experimental situations just taking out as many cats humanely by shooting them as we can, and then we've monitored how quickly those areas that you've cleared are reinvaded, and the answer is almost immediately. The cats breed so profusely that it's very difficult to kill enough cats in an area so that immigration can't make up those losses. So certainly, perhaps in small contained situations, like particularly islands, it's possible to kill all the cats on an island with sustained control. But in big open landscapes like we have in Northern Australia, that sort of approach will simply not work.
I remember going spotlighting as a kid, and it was spotlight shooting. I was in the back of the truck without a gun, but adults had guns, and a cat was shot. And when we went to the following day to where the cat was shot, it was enormous. Like, this was no household cat. It seemed huge and muscular, not fat, but almost like a different animal. What sort of cats have you found?
Yeah, certainly there are some very large feral cats. It seems to be a general tendency for cats that go feral to increase in size over time. But what we find is that the individual cats that we've caught have been very, very variable in size. So we have come across some really big specimens, but we've also had some sort of 2.5, 3 kilo cats as well.
And what have you found out? This is the most important thing for you, is being able to figure out how the cats were hunting, what they were choosing to eat. What have you been able to find in that regard? The
key results have been that cats hunt more efficiently, as in their ambush attempts are more successful when the environment is open. And as a result of that, they'll make even very long-distance journeys from their territories to areas of ground that have burnt in intense fires. So cats are capitalizing on fire patterns, so intense fires, cats from around the area will congregate at intense fires and really clean up there. So what that means is that if you have a fire regime that's dominated by large, intense fires, you're allowing cats to clean up again and again and again and again, and that's what's driving the declines in native mammals.
Wow, I wonder how that applies in the top end of the Northern Territory where you have a lot of fires in the start of the dry season.
Yeah, well, our research was carried out in the Kimberley, but I'd be very surprised if the same principles weren't also applying in the top end, and that's something that we'd like to investigate in the next couple of years. And what it means from the point of management is that if you can change those fire patterns and reduce the fire frequency and reduce the fire intensity so that there's some cover left after a fire, then you should reduce the hunting efficiency of cats, and that will be